Welcome in, everybody, to MVR in Youngstown, Ohio. Chris Colucci here with Coach John Armeni. Coach, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Good, good. So, perfect season up to this far. You guys have been doing really good. 7-2 record coming into Week 10. What are your thoughts this year so far on the season?
You know, it's gone pretty well. It hasn't been easy getting here, to be honest with you, but we have a great group of seniors, 12 of them who are great leaders. They worked really hard, and some of that young talent that we have is playing up, so it's kind of like the perfect storm. The experience and the young talent has hit kind of at the same time. We're lucky to have a great group of coaches working with those guys, so it's gone pretty well so far.
So you talk about that experience. Who are some, especially the seniors we're going to be interviewing tonight, Luke Henning and Nate Facillo. Talk about that leadership that you have with those seniors.
You know, it's a pretty special group. They're guys that have been through a lot. It's no secret, what's gone on out there. And Western Reserve has been very good for a very long time and then fell on some tough years. So it's nice to see that kind of trending in the right direction again. The senior group up front has done an awful lot, led by Nathan Facillo, Fisher Himes, and Andrew Hendricks. Those guys up front have done a fantastic job paving the way, for a pretty hard-nosed running the football kind of offense. And Luke Henning is just the dude. Special guy, makes plays all over the field, offensively and defensively. So, we're awfully lucky that he's wearing our colors.
Yeah, so you talk about that experience and now the younger kids. Who are some of the younger kids in the upcoming years that we can expect to see?
I think there's lots of pieces in those younger groups, the freshmen, the sophomores, and the juniors. Some special juniors there. We have Isaac Burnett up front, Nathan Hemberger, who is a tackle or two away from setting a single-season record there. Jack Darney has done some great things in that junior class. Don Riccardi, another junior captain. And then the sophomore class is led by Chris Pater, who, wasn't able to play a lot his freshman year, was rehabbing from an injury. But we saw some things in him at the end of last season that we thought he could be a special one for us. And he's kind of hit the ground running this year.
Yep.
Starts on both sides of the ball, had a big pick last week. Just has some ability that you can't really teach. So I think he's going to be a special one too.
So last year from this year, you guys have done a complete 180. You guys, it wasn't the record you guys wanted last year. The record this year, you guys really like a lot. What's the difference from last year to this year?
I think that there were a lot of games last year that were close. We lost in overtime to Conneaut. We lost to Jackson Milton by a point. I don't think we were far. And we hadn't really dug in yet. We hadn't had a full off season. We had only coached these kids for a little bit. I thought that we weren't far away. And we got a lot of those guys back, and they've been awfully determined, and you can't underscore that, and that because of where you play.
Yep.
When you got a group of guys that are bound and determined to make things work,
Yep.
It's easy to coach.
Yep. So talk about a little bit in this season. You guys come out with a heartbreaking loss to Malvern, and then you guys just went on a tear. You guys won, I think, 5 straight, and then you came to Springfield. Unfortunately, lost that one, but what was your message to the team? Because in Week 8, you guys put a whooping on Waterloo, a 61-8 win. What was your message to your team after that loss and coming back out strong?
I think one of the things that our program and Western Reserve in general for a very long time has prided itself on playing a tough schedule. I don't think you get any better by playing teams that aren't very good. And we challenged ourselves. Malvern we knew was going to be very good. Conneaut is 2 divisions bigger than us. They're a D5 playoff team. Columbiana, a very good program. And at our conference, I would put with just about anybody other than Springfield. Springfield plays that tough, and it's not a surprise that they're good every year. So those games, Springfield and Malvern were tough games, but I think we learned a lot about ourselves. We learned what we do good. We learned a lot of what we can work on, because that's the level that we want to play at. You want to be able to play with those teams, because then you can do special things.
Yep. So last week, you guys had a really tough team come into town. Mineral Ridge came in. And you guys, your defense really stood out. And, they had a bunch of picks in the first half, bunch of turnovers. Talk to me, just after game press conference, give me your debriefing of the Week 9 game against Mineral Ridge.
We tell the kids all the time, there's not a magic wand you wave where all of a sudden you're good and everything works out. It sounds kind of boring, but it starts with a really good game plan. Our coaches work really hard. We have some great coaches on that side of the ball, put together a good game plan, and our kids did a great job of executing it. You know, the first thing that's most important when you play Mineral Ridge is you have to kind of slow down Ian Erb. You know, a very good football player. He had 16 touches for 70 yards, you know, and that was kind of what the aim was. You know, make other guys make plays. You know, and we thought if we chased them to year that some of our athletes can go make plays, you know, and you saw that. You know, Nathan Hemberger had an interception. Luke Henning had a nice interception when they were driving. You know, Chris Pater had a nice interception, and we just missed a few more. You know, so you know, the kids did a great job of executing the game plan. And offensively, we knew it wasn't going to be pretty. Mineral Ridge is a physical football team. You know, they like to send lots of heat in lots of different ways. You know, so we knew that we were going to have to dig in and run the football. You know, and we had 200-yard rushers. You know, Jack Darney and Luke Henning ran the ball really hard. So, you know, that was kind of the game plan, and our kids did a really good job. You know, got close at the end, made it interesting, you know, for the fans. You know, but the kids did a really good job.
Now you talk about Luke Henning and a special game he had. We can't not talk about Air Henning, is what I like to call him, when he literally jumped from the 5-yard line to score the touchdown. Seeing that play unfold, what were you thinking?
I joked with him in film, you know, the next day that he stepped out and he didn't make it. You know, he wasn't too happy about that, but you know, he's just a ball player. He does things like that, you know. And one of the things I've learned coaching is that when you have guys like that, you know, you got to give them a little creative freedom. You know, so we allow him to do some things. You know, he plays within our system well, but we allow him to do some things like that because you know he's going to make some plays that you know you just can't coach. So
pure athlete that he is.
Very, very special athlete.
Yeah. So, week 10, rounding out the regular season. I mean, you guys win. You guys more than likely will get a home playoff spot. We'll talk about a home playoff spot in a little bit. But what do you expect to see? What are you guys expecting to doing against Jackson Milton here? Traveling there, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's their last game ever in that stadium.
You know, it's going to be a war.
Yeah.
I mean, every reserve Jackson game is like that. So we haven't really talked a whole lot about playoffs. We haven't really focused too much on that right now. You know, we want all of our attention as a staff and all of our kids' attention on the task at hand because we know that's going to be a war. We have to go into a hostile environment, you know, a playoff environment. They're a D6 playoff team, you know, and battle it out. So, you know, this is an important game for our kids, for our community. So, I mean, you know, hope that we put our best foot forward.
So you right now, top 8, get a home playoff spot. You've been around the game of football for a long time. How important is it to get a home playoff game in the playoffs in the state of Ohio?
Well, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the expansion in the playoffs. You know, I'm showing my age here a little bit, but you know, when I was in high school, it was 4 teams.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I've coached long enough to see it expand to 8. I'm not a fan of 16.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's necessary. You know, but that's the process that they laid out for us. But playing a home playoff game is really important. Yeah, I think it's important for the kids in their community. You know, you want to play in front of your family and your friends. You know, it's a special thing to host that playoff game. You know, so that's obviously been the aim from the very get-go is to qualify for the playoffs and host a game. So, you know, if we take care of business, you know, I think the chips will fall where they will, and, you know, hopefully that means a home playoff game.
So, last year, new head coach for Western Reserve. What made you pick Western Reserve? What was it? Was it the culture? Was it the school history? Just what was it about Western Reserve that made you want to become a Blue Devil head coach?
You know, that's a great question. You know, there are certainly a lot of football jobs around the valley. You know, I learned a long time ago that there are only certain guys that get those blue chip jobs. You know, I want to pride myself on taking a situation that might be a little bit rough around the edges, you know, and turning it around. You know, and that's why I took the first job I did at LeBray, and it's why I took the second job that I took at Western Reserve. You know, I was an assistant here a long time ago when that process of turnaround started happening, you know, and then Coach Hake took it to another level, you know, so a part of my heart has always been here, you know, and I thought maybe if we stuck to the plan and we were able to bring a good coaching staff in and we could coach these kids up, that we can kind of catch lightning in a bottle and get that back. So, I mean, that's kind of the appeal for me.
So, volleyball's here tonight. We got a cross-country player tonight, 2 football players.
Yeah.
How important is it for a school to have a blend and, you know, all the athletes coming together, going to support each other at a volleyball game or at a football game, whatever it is? How important is that to have just a culture of athletes that want to support each other.
It's wonderful. I call it the 224 corridor effect. And Western Reserve is a great special place. And then you travel further down 224, and there's some other great places too. We have successful boys programs. We have successful girls programs. My kids go to the school. The school is unbelievable. And it's just a great place to be. So we certainly are happy, personally that we're there. And the volleyball team is 22-1, and they're on a tear, and they were really good last year. Our baseball and softball teams had great seasons. Girls basketball had great season. Boys basketball is on the cusp, and now we got the football thing kind of moving in the right direction. So it's a special time to be a Blue Devil.
Yeah, Blue Devils have been very historically good in a lot of things. How proud are you? How proud of your team so far in this regular season? We're 9 weeks in, one more week to go. I mean, is the sky the limit for this team? Like, how proud are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud. I'm proud of the growth.
Mm-hmm.
They've come a long way. There was an awful lot of work to do there. And we asked them to stick to the plan, and we told them that there would be results, and that's kind of started happening. We're not at the point right now where we want to reflect. We still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, of course.
But hopefully when the season is all said and done, our kids and our coaches can be awful proud of what we were able to accomplish.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you so much. First Coach's Corner with Coach John Armeni.
Thank you for having me.
It was special. Hope to have many more in the years to come.
Absolutely.
I tend to be calling a lot more Western Reserve games. Thank you, Coach, so much.
Thank you for having me, Chris.